going to share a recipe with you about cooking some canned deer meat. These are some shallots that I grew last year in my garden. They're pretty tasty. They're a purple shallot. I don't know, I guess there's about 4, maybe 8 different types. Now these, I kept these in my root cellar, cold storage area, all winter long, and they're still really good. Let's go over here and grab that cast iron fry pan.
Why do you like cast iron pans, Jay?
Well, you know, this is if you look at this pan, it's a real seasoned pan. See the edges got burnt stuff on the edges of it. It's clean, but it has a lot of seasoning in the pan. It gives the food a really good flavor. My family's been cooking off cast iron for generations. Now, this is a piece of garlic that Mark grew in his garden last year. And so far we got 1 medium shallot. We'll slice this garlic up rather than crushing it. I know the traditional way is to crush it, but we're going to slice this up a little bit. We'll go ahead and we'll put the recipe at the end of the video. I'll go ahead and display what we're going to, how much of the ingredients we had and all that, rather than sit down and talk about all the ingredients we got here. Alright, next ingredient, we got shallots and garlic. And now I'm going to take some dehydrated mushrooms. These are dehydrated mushrooms. You buy mushrooms cheap at the store. Mark grows shiitakes outside. You have a mushroom log outside.
Yes, I do.
Right. So what we do?
Bunch of logs.
There's Mark, being the fungi connoisseur that he is. We like mushrooms, and he's got some sheephead. We're going to get to that in a minute. I'm basically just going to take these dehydrated mushrooms. I dehydrated these. I got them all on sale. And so I bought them in bulk, and I went ahead and dried them for storage, and I put them in a mason jar with a lid on it, so the air can't get to it and keep it in my root cellar in a dark place. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to chop these up to nice bite-sized pieces. This is some sheephead mushroom that Mark gathered up here this past fall.
Yeah, wild mushrooms.
Wild mushrooms. Tell us a little bit where you found this at, Mark.
Well, you find it in the forest, usually around this part of the country, late September, early August, October. They like oak trees, and you will find them in and around the bottoms of oak trees.
And you brought me quite a bit of pounds of this last year.
Yeah. Well, last year I really had a lucky year. Last year I found a bunch. This year wasn't quite. This past year wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, you know, I tried to dehydrate some of this, right?
Yeah, and you said it was too much moisture.
Yeah, there's a lot of moisture in this particular type of fungi. I tried to dehydrate this. The one that he brought me year before last, I was successful at doing part of it, and then another part of it wouldn't. So it was probably in the process of dying and drying up in the wild. But this past year, the one that you brought me, I tried to dry it up, and it just wouldn't dry. I mean, my house smelled like stinking sneakers, so it smelled pretty bad. It wasn't very pleasant. Didn't want to have any guests over while I was doing it. Good. Put this in our finish putting this in our pan. So Mark's advice on storage of these is he said to put them in a Ziploc bag, and you want to freeze it. You don't want to put it in water. A lot of people have a lot of different ideas of how to do things, and that's fantastic. But when you try an idea and you know it's going to fail, you don't want to waste your food. We have some hot peppers.
What do you got in here?
We got some blackberry jam.
Well, let me try some on these soda biscuits you have here.
You'll like that. Those you know the hedgerows I have outside my house now?
Yes.
Those are the blackberries. Those are the Darrow blackberries from my hedgerow. We're going to spice this up a little bit. I'm going to get down here and get some of these seeds out of here. Make this a little hot and spicy. Now, you don't need to add the pepper to it. that's up to you. This is really for flavor. This is a really nice pimento type pepper, or could be, yeah, I think it's a pimento. We're gonna add that in there. Can you smell that pepper?
No, actually, because I'm working hard on this biscuit with the jam here.
There you
This
go.
is what I'm smelling.
Now that's I made that semi-seedless because I don't like a ton of seeds.
Well, I didn't get any seeds at all here in the top of this jar.
Is it good?
Oh my.
There we go. There's some good natural homemade jam. You know, everything that's all the ingredients are in the jar. You know what you're putting into your body, and that's real important to
Yeah.
us.
So what's in this jar?
We have some pepper chutney here. This was made by a friend of mine named Jim. He lives in Ohio. We're self-sufficient friends, and we like to send each other a pint of something different every year that we produce. This year I sent him some strawberry rhubarb jam, and he sent me this new recipe for his pepper chutney that he made this year. So we look forward to having that with our deer meat today. Now, a couple things I want to talk about. This is canned deer meat. When we made this, when I made this, by the way, this canned deer meat, remember that old doe you shot year before last? There she is. She's in the can now. This was a big doe that Mark harvested during muzzleloader season last year. He and I are big muzzleloader hunters, and this was an old doe. I tried to eat some of her, but boy, she was tough. So I decided that I'd go ahead and can her up. And the time we got done with the whole deer, we had about 18 quart jars of meat, which I gave you some of. But basically what we did is we packed this clean up to here with meat, and we packed it tight, so very little air was in there when we canned this. And as you can see, there's a small bit of fat at the top. Now we don't want to put that in our pan. We don't want to eat that fat and the dried bits at the top. We want to take that out, and we're going to scrape that out here in a minute. But you can tell this is about 2 years old. It's about the life of it, really. It's towards the end of its life. Come fall, it'll be 2 years, so it's about 1.5 years right now. So it's coming to its end. But I pack those up, and sometimes they overflow and they spill. And you can just see how tight that meat's packed in there. See, that's packed in there. There's different fat content. Now, deer meat's not very fat, but there is some fat, especially in the wintertime, within the meat. And because this is a whole deer type of deal, I don't know which part of deer I got the meat from, so that's why the fat's present. I'm going to go ahead and open one of those up.
That big doe was a fat one, though.
Now, you probably heard the vacuum noise, and you see that stuff on top there? That's that brown spot right there. That's where I added the salt. When we process this, we always put a tablespoon of salt on top of the meat. You definitely, one thing you want to do is, we already checked our jars for this demonstration, but you want to check your jars. Both as you heard the air go swoosh. That's right.
You don't want that.
No, you don't want to eat anything that comes out of a jar that the seal's not correct. And now you smell that. You smell it. It smells.
Yeah, it smells good.
Yeah, it's just like beef, isn't it?
It does smell like beef.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to carefully scrape off the top. We don't want to waste too much meat, but we don't want those dry bits in there. A little bit of fat's not going to hurt you, but I'd rather use the fat from the butter, from the olive oil. This has got a wild taste to it. It's real gamey. Surprise your spouse with a venison recipe or deer meat recipe. This is one that you want to share, because after we get done cooking this, you're not going to be able to tell it's deer meat. It's absolutely fantastic. Get that one little bit there.
It already smells like beef.